Hello, hello. When you think of advertising agencies, I'm sure you think of New York City, Chicago, or Los Angeles. While those places aren't bad to look, I'm here to tell you the world of advertising is much bigger than those three cities. Welcome to Advertising Atlas. I'm Aidan Whitney, and I'm your one-stop shop for learning about where else you can look for awesome and unique agencies all around the United States. Now, Minneapolis, Minnesota, it's part of the Twin Cities, which also includes St. Paul. It's what we're going to be talking about today, and with the state motto of Le Toit du Nord, sorry if I butchered that, it means Star of the North, and there's no wonder why so many people call this beautiful city home. The city loves sports and is home to teams such as the Minnesota Timberwolves. It's had famous residents such as Charles M. Schultz, who, if you don't know, he's the man who made the Peanuts comic strip with Charlie Brown. And it also has one of the best artists of the 1980s and maker of Purple Rain, Prince. And for those foodies out there, it's also the birthplace of the Juicy Lucy burger. Now, Minneapolis winters may be cold, but the people's hearts there are warm. And with the phrase, Minnesota nice, you can expect polite people all around since it's considered one of the friendliest states. This has led to many collaborations between the city itself of Minneapolis and the agencies that we're going to be talking about today in the city. And hey, let's just get right into it. Now, first up, we have Fallon. And Fallon is a full-service advertising agency that was founded in 1981, right here in Minneapolis, and continues to operate there to this day. It was co-founded by Patrick Fallon, Tom McElligott, Nancy Rice, Irv Fish, and Fred Sen, and went by the name of Fallon McElligott Rice, which, I mean, if you ask me, I personally like the shorter name, but it's a personal thing. They turned their humble beginnings from putting themselves in a newspaper article as a national agency without even having a single client to one of the most well-respected agencies around. They had such achievements as being listed as Advertising Agency of the Year for multiple times. I believe it was 3. They even had their Comeback Agency of the Year in 2015. And you might be wondering, well, with all these accolades, what makes them so great? And hey, let's just hop right into some of their campaigns and find out. Now, one of their biggest clients currently is Arby's, and their principal philosophy, or Fallon's principal philosophy, is to outsmart versus outspend. And I think they show this in their advertisements for Arby's, and it proves just that creativity is at their core. And one of my favorite campaigns that they did was for the country-style rib roast sandwich, which, I mean, I'll be honest with you, I haven't had it yet, but it's got me thinking about it. And they got me thinking about it because they used one of my favorite rap artists, which is Pusha T, to work on a small diss track on food items like the McDonald's McRib. And they even got a professional bull rider to come into their commercial and just kind of mess around. And I think the whole campaign itself is just fun, and it's just they're poking fun at the competition, and just like a goofy, like a friendly diss track way. And it just kind of led to a funny commercial and just a fun collaboration overall for them. And it included merchandise like a long sleeve t-shirt that I now need that says Pusha T eats Arby's and I eat Arby's, and a bandana, and even just stick with their country style aesthetic that they're going for. They threw in a bolo tie as well. And that's not the only client that they've worked with, which has shown just fun ways that they're able to interact with the community. And another one that they did was with Monkey Shoulder. And if you don't know what Monkey Shoulder is, it's a malt scotch whiskey, which they decided to work with Fallon. And I think they had a great choice with that, because Fallon's been doing some fun stuff with it. And it's been getting me more interested in Monkey Shoulder. Now they've shown to be able to figure out their target customer pretty well and figure out how to connect with them. With Monkey Shoulder, they did they did competitions throughout their community to basically get them to kind of interact with each other and say like, hey, you guys all drink Monkey Shoulder, you know, like, let's see what you got. And they basically did this by having a Halloween advertisement series where they made customers send in photos of their drinks dressed up in spooky outfits, and like everyone who sent one in got a chance to win a custom movie poster with them and their drink. And I thought this was awesome, just as like a little bit of a movie nerd, because it was the poster itself was just like you and your drink in the style of like a Monster of the Week kind of like golden age of cinema style poster. And it just looked like a fun little competition that they would do for free. And yeah, they've done other stuff like for their Christmas advertisements. They put out a competition for people to win a pair of Monkey Shoulder pajamas. And yeah, while they do use, I mean, like any agency, they have, consumer product clients. They also are very, or I'd say, I think philanthropic is the word I'm looking for. They like to give back to their community a lot. They are always finding a way to do volunteer work for their city by doing things such as food drives. And they also take on clients from their city, like as we talked about earlier, the good old Timberwolves, the NBA team. And they even have a 35-long-year lasting relationship with the organization, the Children's Defense Fund, and they do pro bono work for them whenever they're possible, so it's yearly. And they just have a great relationship with those people and the others in the city for the fact that they do like to take care of the city as well as provide services for them. Now, our next agency also does work for those in need. So let's hop in a rocket ship and let's go meet them. Now we're going out of this world for this next agency. It's called Space 150, and it's a tech-driven creative agency that was founded in 2000. It's also based out of Minneapolis and boasts a team full of creatives, engineers, and strategists that help businesses stay fresh in this digital world that we live in. Now, their employees are very important to them, and they like to focus on making the agency a safe place for them. And they try to do this by being as inclusive as possible with their workforce, which I believe allows them to make their advertisements a lot more fun and unique with just all of the diversity that goes around. They use integrated techniques that combine their services to make culturally relevant clients, and their motto of destroy convention, create demand gives a very unique style for their clients. Now you might be wondering who some of these clients are, and they've worked with some big names such as Nike, Amazon, and Red Wing. Now, one of my favorite ones they did was with Amazon. They made a promotion for the movie Sound of Metal, which, if you haven't seen the movie, I'd recommend. The advertising for it had a very unique challenge, since the movie is about a drummer in a metal band who goes deaf, and he has to learn how to live a new life without basically the one sense he needed. And it's a pretty touching movie. And since it's about the deaf and hard of hearing community, they wanted to make sure that the advertisements were able to include them and kind of promote it to that community as well. And Space 150 came out with this awesome idea to quote unquote show the music, in the sense that they would have like loud bass, and so they could get the beat of it. And they had visual representations of the beats that included things such as small objects and like beads all over the floor and on by the drums, just bouncing on stage, while they had one of the actors in the movie sign along to the song they were doing. And they picked Enter Sandman, which As far as rock songs go, I feel like it was a good one to pick for Sound of Metal. And yeah, it's personally think it was a perfect pick. But as a bit of a music nerd and a film nerd, I just found this like really impactful in the fact that it's being more inclusive for like other communities and allows others to find joy and basically new sights and sounds. Periscope is our third agency we're going to be talking about today, and it uses its company name in order to show how they push clients beyond. Now, Periscope's president, Carly Bucci Hollings, I'm sorry if I mispronounced that, is one of Adweek's women trailblazers, and she definitely runs a tight ship over there. They say it best. Brands can either sink or swim, and Periscope is always looking for them in this vast ocean. They have a tagline of "They don't look ahead, they see beyond," and with the logo and name sake, I guess, of the submarine Periscope, clients can count on them to make relevant and fun campaigns to keep their names afloat, whether it be locally or even globally. Now, they deal with everything from integrated strategy, activation, and production. So this basically means that they're at every step of the way, from conception of the idea, making of the media plan, production of a multitude of different channels of media, and like the distribution and analytics of just the campaign overall. And they do work with designing, packaging, experiential services. They do traditional forms of advertising and more. And they pride themselves on going above and beyond and looking for like diverse group of people who basically just live for curiosity. And they have clients that include companies like Trolley, Walgreens, Hefty, and they even do work for the Minnesota Lottery. Now, we're gonna talk about this first campaign that we're gonna talk about was one that they did with Trolley, which I thought was hilarious. They teamed up with Trolley and Adidas to make just like a one-of-a-kind shoe that gets sneakerheads all around the world to just kind of perk their ears a little bit. And the campaign was called Sour Sneaker, and its main driving point was just sneaker-shaped Trolley gummies that were inspired from James Harden's Volume 2 sneakers that were coming out with Adidas. And not only did they get James Harden himself to come up and promote the product, but they even got the attention of the NBA legend himself, Shaquille O'Neal, and had him promote their limited edition life-size shoe gummy on TV. And it was just a giant like shoe that was just made of just the Trolley gummies, and it was completely edible, and it just like people could enter competition to win these just custom pair of sneakers. And this campaign, clearly a lot of people liked it. They got over 119 million social impressions. And if that's not enough, they got Trolley over 900 million media impressions in general. And that's an absurd amount of screen time. Now, I think my personal favorite campaign of theirs was one that they did with Hefty, and this is because the campaign was based around the idea that there's just too much waste around the world, and they're trying to help solve this crisis. And they go about this in a way that I thought was really fun. They had the world's strongest man pull a full-on airplane to visually show how many tons of recycled materials that they've used in their products to help clean up. And while he's pulling it, they're just basically talking about their sustainability efforts and how they've reused enough materials to have the combined weight of 5 737 airplanes. If you don't know, those are pretty big airplanes. And I just found this effective because it brings a consistent message, and it shows like that the company cares for the planet, which is something I think is very important for brands to do these days. Now with Hefty, we are moving on to something that you could use Hefty in association with. Now, the next agency is called JT Mega, and you've probably been scrolling through Instagram or something while listening to this, and I mean, that's okay. I mean, that helps me kind of talk about them, honestly. Odds are you've probably seen at least one picture of food or a drink last time, or since the last time you were scrolling through your feed. And I mean, let me tell you, as bad as a chef I am, I still love to cook, and JT Mega is the kind of agency that makes me want to keep cooking. And they're a very unique agency for all our food lovers out there, since that's what they focus on exclusively. Their main thing is just, they focus exclusively on the food industry. And all this talk of food is getting me hungry, so toss on a chef hat, grab a spatula and a pan maybe, and let's plunge into what makes this company so awesome. This award-winning agency lives by the phrase, thought for food, and it's been around since 1976. And with such a niche market, they've been able to become like serious pros on this topic of food and beverage advertising. And they've turned into like a full service agency, basically, just based around this industry. And they help clients with research and insights. They do things like brand management, social media use, campaign development, photography and video production, just experiential content, and on and on and on and on. They just keep going. They've got a list of just everything that they do, and it's nuts. They pretty much help with almost everything related to marketing in the food industry. Since they are exclusively in the world of food, all their clients are based around that, which means they've got companies like Columbus Craft Meats, B-Dubs, Buffalo Wild Wings, let's go, Schwann's Company, Pearson's, and hey, even Mr. Peanuts himself, Planters Peanuts. Now, they've worked on projects like making whole web pages for companies like Happy Little Plants, which is a plant-based pizza topping company, which they've done stuff with making mouth-watering parade floats for Jennie-O, which is a turkey meat provider, and they've done stuff like package redesigns for stuff like Pearson's Nut Rolls, Plotchman's mustard bottles, or even stuff like Hornell's deli meats, and they just try to make them look as appealing as possible. Now, for this last agency we're going to be talking about, we're going to be switching a little bit from foodies to thrill seekers now. And SixSpeed is a brand marketing agency which deals with pretty much everything outdoors. They're unique that they focus on experiential advertising mainly, and that just stays in people's minds to drive their clients' connection to the world even further, They're great at promoting launches for products and services that can connect clients physically, or that can connect with the clients physically, along with just even digitally. And their approach to problems is to drive transformational connections that inspire action that is very difficult to imitate by any other company. Their clients are all related to adventure, so for the listeners that love the outdoors, definitely give them a look. And they are partnered with brands like Arctic Shield, Cliff Bar, Red Bull, even Polaris. Now, if you don't know what Polaris is, it's a outdoor, just like auto mechanics, like off-road type store where you buy just stuff like cars and bikes and everything. And one of my favorite stunts that they did was with them, and they clearly understood their audience and wanted to take care of those who already enjoyed the brand. So with this in mind, they came up with an experience these people had never seen before, and they made an event in the desert of Glamis, California, and it's the ultimate retreat for off-roaders and power sports enthusiasts. They called it Camp RZR, or Camp Razor, and it lasted a whole weekend. It had pretty much everything those fans needed. It had stuff like concerts, giveaways, test drives, competitions, and like heck, even they had machine services so you could get your like motor vehicles repaired there. It was the perfect weekend for fans, and the result was just one weekend that led on to a full global celebration with over 500 million impressions that still goes on every year. And I'm sure all of us know about these crazy Red Bull stunts, like the man jumping from the like stratosphere pretty much. And with that in mind, SixSpeed wanted to keep their fun brand image intact while giving it its own spin. And Red Bull came to them with an idea that they were able to execute. And I just thought it was one of the coolest skating promotions I've seen. And it was called the Mississippi Grind. Now, they took an old barge and transformed the 195-foot-long boat into a floating skate park. And their goal was to ride this boat all the way down the Mississippi River, starting in Minneapolis and ending in New Orleans, stopping at a few other cities along the way. And they had local skating competitions on their way down, and the winners of each competition got a chance to compete in a final competition between all of the winners. And this is just so absurd to me, and I loved every bit of it, just because the thought of having just a floating skate park that just goes down the Mississippi is just so Red Bull to me. And I think that they figured out their target audience very well. And of course it was a smashing success, and it showcased just everything that they needed to show with Red Bull. And I mean, even if you're not into, like the outdoors, definitely go give this agency a check out, just because they've got some of just like the most out there and fun experiences I've seen just in a while. I hope this just showed how underrated the advertising world is in Minneapolis. I mean, I could only talk about a handful of these like just crazy agencies. I mean, they've got traditional agencies, which is just your basic full service stuff, have done fun, like super creative campaigns. And they've even got like very specialized campaigns or agencies. I mean, heck, I'd say they've like even got agencies that have past specialized. I don't even know if that's a thing, but that's like they're just experts on just this stuff. And I mean, I highly recommend going out and just checking all these companies that I've talked about today and just scrolling through their websites at the very least. Just check out some of their work, and it'll just show everything I'm talking about. And I think their charm of being Minnesota nice definitely pulls through here, and it helps this unique city and state just stay special in the world of advertising. And yeah, thanks for listening and learning with me. I'm your advertising atlas, Aidan Whitney, and I'll see you on the next episode.